Welcome to Brand Institute of Forensics and Security. Today we are focusing on Lesson 5 of Strategic Management. Lesson 5 of Strategic Management. And today we shall be discussing Organizational Appraisal. Organizational Appraisal. And what is this Organizational Appraisal? What is Organizational Appraisal? This is Lesson 5 of Strategic Management. I hope we are doing well. I hope we are working on the giveaway assignment, and I hope everything is going well for you. I hope you are also doing a personal research on the side to continue to understand at a deeper level the aspect of strategic management in organizations. So today we are going to talk about organizational appraisal. And organizational appraisal is the analysis of internal business climate in an organization. It is crucial for the formulation of the most appropriate strategy. It is crucial for the formulation of the most appropriate strategy. So it is actually an analysis of the internal business climate, an analysis of the internal business climate of an organization. And we shall look at how this analysis is carried out and what is considered in this analysis. The strategic decision makers conduct internal research to gain a clear perspective of the business profile. To gain a clear perspective of the business profile. They look at different areas. They look at the financial area. They look at the human resource area. They look at the other capabilities that we are going to discuss. It also gives an accurate analysis of the firm's strengths and weaknesses. Strengths and weaknesses. Every firm, every organization has its strengths and weaknesses. Even you as an individual, you have your strengths and weaknesses. So these are the things that we are going to discuss in today's lesson. Internal analysis, also known as corporate appraisal, it is also known as corporate appraisal, is conducted to solve an issue within the company or to handle an emergency, e.g., improper maintenance of machinery used in production that results in defects in the finished product. So it is also known as corporate appraisal, and it is conducted to solve an issue within the company or the organization or to handle any emergency. A manager can solve this problem by ensuring the care and service of the equipment. Many companies conduct internal appraisals to reduce costs and increase revenue. Most companies or most organizations that are oriented to generating revenue or making profits, they conduct these internal appraisals to reduce costs and increase revenue. You should be able to understand this as a professional, that this is what is happening in organizations, and several organizations, they usually conduct these internal appraisals to reduce costs. Every organization wants to save on running costs, on operational costs, on keeping the organization afloat. They want to reduce the costs and increase or maximize on the revenue, maximize on the income, maximize on the profit. They want to reduce the running and the operational costs. So internal appraisals are usually carried out in companies and organizations. The dynamics of internal environment. An organization uses different types of resources and exhibits a certain type of behavior. The interplay of these different resources, along with the prevalent behavior, produces synergy or antagonism within an organization, which leads to the development of strengths or weaknesses over a period of time. Some of these strengths make an organization especially competent in a particular area of its activity, causing it to develop competencies. So we are going also to look at weaknesses and strength, whatever happens in the organization as it uses different types of resources. If the resources are used in a very effective way, then the company develops competences in whatever it is doing. Organizational capability rests on an organization's capacity and the ability to use its competences to excel in a particular field, thereby giving it a strategic advantage over its competitors. The resources, behavior, strengths, and weaknesses, synergic effects, and competences of an organization determine the nature of its internal environment. The following diagram shows the framework adopted by an organization in the process of development of strategic advantage. So we are going to look at a diagram that shows the framework adopted by an organization in the process of development of strategic advantage. In the process of development of strategic advantage. We are actually going to look at, let me discuss it from the bottom up. We are going to look at organizational resources, we are going to look at organizational behavior, and then we are going to look at these two generate organizational strengths and weaknesses, which generate synergic effects, which generate competences, which generate organizational capabilities, and then leads to strategic advantage. So this is how organization works with these capabilities, with these resources, until it is able to gain a strategic advantage. A strategic advantage mostly over its competitors in the market. Let's start by organizational resources. The dynamics of the internal environment of an organization can be best understood in the context of the resource-based view of the firm, or the resources-based theory of strategy. A firm is a bundle of resources, tangible and intangible. Tangible are resources that you can touch, equipments that are used in the organization, and other resources. And intangible are resources that cannot be touched, that include assets, capabilities, organizational process, information, knowledge, etc. Intangible resources could be, for example, processes, procedures. These are what we call information. This is what we call intangible resources. These resources could be classified as physical, human, and organizational resources. They can be classified as physical, human, and organizational resources. The physical resources are the technology, plant, and equipment. So these are the tangible. Geographical location, etc., present in an organization. This is what we call physical resources. Technology, plant, equipment, geographical location, even the human resource, the people themselves, the staff. This is what we call physical resources. But when we talk about the staff's knowledge, the staff's skill, the staff's experience, we are talking about intangible resources. Intangible resources. You should be able to differentiate between tangible and intangible. The organizational resources are the formal systems and structures, as well as informal relation among groups. The resources of an organization can ultimately lead to strategic advantage for it if they possess four characteristics. If these resources are available, rare, costly to imitate, and non-substitutable. These are some of the factors that make organizational resources to be used in a very effective way. These are the characteristics that lead to strategic advantage. Organizational behavior. So we have seen organizational behavior, organizational resources, and then now we talk of organizational behavior. It is the manifestation of the various forces and influences operating in the internal environment of an organization that create the ability for or place constraints on the usage of resources. Organizational behavior is unique in the sense that it leads to the development of a special identity and character of an organization. Some of the important forces and influences that affect organizational behavior are the quality of leadership, management philosophy, shared values and culture, quality of work, environment and organizational climate, organizational politics and use of power, etc. Strengths and weaknesses. Organizational resources and behavior do not exist in isolation. They combine in a complex fashion to create strengths and weaknesses within the internal environment of an organization. Strength is an inherent capability which an organization can use to gain strategic advantage. A weakness, on the other hand, is an inherent limitation or constraint which creates a strategic advantage for an organization. Strengths and weaknesses do not exist in isolation, but combine with a functional area and also across different functional areas to create synergic effects. So strengths and weaknesses do not exist in isolation. They combine within a functional area and also across different functional areas to create synergic effects. What is synergic effect? It is inherent nature of an organization that strengths and weaknesses, like resources and behavior, do not exist individually but become combined in a variety of ways. For instance, two strong points in a particular functional area add up to something more than double the strength. Likewise, two weaknesses acting in tandem results in more than double the damage. Two weaknesses acting in tandem result more than double the damage. In effect, what we have is a situation where attributes do not add mathematically but combine to produce an enhanced or reduced impact. Such phenomenon is also known as the synergistic effect. Synergy is an idea that the whole is greater or lesser than the sum of its parts. It is also expressed as the 2 plus 2 is equal to 5 or 3 effect. I think you can also check that one on your own, what we mean by synergy in organizations. What do we mean by synergy in organizations, and how do these factors combine to create a strategic advantage? Competences. Based on its resources and behavior, an organization develops certain strengths and weaknesses, which when combined lead to synergic effects. Such effects manifest themselves in terms of organizational competencies. Competencies are special qualities possessed by an organization that makes them withstand the pressures of competition in the marketplace. In other words, the net results of strategic advantages and the disadvantages that exist for an organization determines its ability to compete with its rivals. Other terms frequently used as being synonymous to competencies are unique resources, core competencies, invisible assets, embedded knowledge, etc. These are other terms frequently used as being synonymous to competencies are unique resources. For example, you could have a unique resource in the human resource department where you have very skilled, very knowledgeable staff. This is unique resources that cannot be found in other organizations. Staff who do very wonderful job. They come up with ideas and they come up with ways to do the work. They come up with processes that help the organization have a strategic advantage over its competences. Then we have core competences, invisible assets, embedded knowledge, etc. When an organization develops its competences over a period of time and bonds them into a fine art of competing with its rivals, it tends to use these competences exceedingly well. The capability to use the competences exceedingly well turns them into core competences. When a specific ability is possessed by a particular organization exclusively or relatively in large measure, it is called distinctive competence. When a specific ability is possessed by a particular organization exclusively or relatively in large measure, it is called distinctive competence. Organizational capability. Organizational capability is the inherent capacity or potential for an organization to use its strength and overcome its weaknesses in order to exploit the opportunities and face the threats in its environment. It is also viewed as a skill for coordinating resources and putting them to productive use. That is organizational capability. Without capability, resources, even though valuable, are unique and may be worthless. Since organization capability is the capacity or potential of organization, it means that it is a measurable attribute. It is a measurable attribute. Organizational capability is the inherent capacity or potential of an organization to use its strength to overcome its weaknesses. And since it can be measured, it follows that organizational capability can be compared. Yet, it is very difficult to measure organizational capability as it is, in the ultimate analysis, a subjective attribute. As an attribute, it is the sum total of resources and behavior, strengths and weaknesses, synergistic effects occurring in and the competences of an organization. Capabilities are the outcomes of an organization's knowledge base, i.e., the skill and knowledge of its employees. Those are capabilities, are the outcomes of an organization's knowledge base, i.e., the skill and knowledge of its employees. There is a growing body of opinion that considers organizations as reservoirs of knowledge, in which case they are all learning organizations. They are all learning organizations. Strategic competitive advantages. Strategic and competitive advantages. Strategic advantages are the outcomes of organizational capabilities. They are the result of organizational activities leading to rewards in terms of financial parameters, such as profit or shareholder value, and or non-financial parameters, such as market share or reputation. In contrast, strategic disadvantages are penalties in the form of financial loss or damages to market share. Clearly, such advantages or disadvantages are the outcome of the presence or absence of organizational capabilities. If the organization has very strong capabilities, then definitely it will have a strategic advantage over its competitors. But if an organization is weak in terms of capabilities, then it is likely to have disadvantages in the presence of competitors. I keep talking about the human resource factor because this is what is very important in an organization. The human resource factor, the people, the staff that who do the job from the top management to the lowest levels. If the team works in cohesion, if the team works well, if the team is actually following the principles of teamwork and motivation and the management practices, if the team is working in a cohesive way, then definitely the organization is likely to have a strategic advantage over its competitors. The team is very important in every organization. Strategic disadvantages are measurable in absolute terms using parameters in which they are expressed. So, profitability could be used to measure strategic advantage. The higher the profitability, the better is the strategic advantage. The higher the profitability, the better is the strategic advantage. They are comparable in terms of historical performance of an organization over a period of time, or its current performance with respect to its competitors in the industry. So strategic disadvantages are measurable in absolute terms using the parameters in which they are expressed. Organizational capability factors. Capabilities are most often developed in specific functional areas such as marketing, or operations, or in a part of a functional area such as distribution or research and development. It is also feasible to measure and compare capabilities in functional areas. Hence, a company could be considered as inherently strong in marketing owing to a competency in distribution skills, or a company could be competitive in operations owing to superior research and development infrastructure. These are terms that are used in management. These are terms that are used in strategic management, and it is important you get to understand some of these terms for you to be able to position yourself correctly for the leadership role that is coming your way. If you are going to be a leader in an organization, if you are going to be an effective security manager, if you are going to be an effective security supervisor, if you are going to be an effective security director, then you have to understand these terms. That a company could be considered as inherently strong in marketing owing to a competency in distribution skills, or a company could be competitive in operations owing to superior research and development infrastructure. When you go back to your organization, ask yourself, what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses in the organization? What are the strengths of this organization and what are the weaknesses of this organization? Those are things that you can look at your organization and you can make those conclusions on your own. Organizational capability factors are the strategic strengths and weaknesses existing in different functional areas within an organization, which are of crucial importance to strategic formulation and implementation. Other terms synonymous to organizational capability factors are strategic factors, strategic advantage factors, corporate competence factors, etc. Those are other terms that are used in place of organizational capabilities. Strategic factors, strategic advantage factors, corporate competency factors, etc. Let us turn our attention to the 6 functional areas supporting capability. 6 functional areas supporting capability in any organizations are finance, marketing, operations, personnel, information, and general management. Finance, marketing, operations, personnel, information, and general management. Generally, you'll find security lies under general management or sometimes under operations. So these are some of the 6 capabilities. Remember, security itself as a department is one of the major capabilities in this age, because when the company is secure, when the environment is secure, when the people who are working within the organization, people who are visiting the organizations are secure, are well protected from security threats, then that gives the company a very strong capability to continue in operation. Let's look at financial capability. Financial capability factors relate to the availability, usages, and management of funds, and all allied aspects that have a bearing on an organization's capacity and ability to implement its strategies. So financial capability, you know very well, if a business lacks the financial capability, then its success is likely to be hampered. That is why we usually say, in most cases, even if you want to start your own business, you need a strong capital base, a strong financial base. When we talk of a strong capital base, we are talking of a strong financial base. Then there are some factors which influence the financial capability of an organization. Before we continue to the other capabilities, let us look at some of the factors which influence the financial capability of an organization. Factors related to sources of funds, capital structure, procurement of capital, controllership, financial pattern, working capital availability, borrowings, capital and credit availability, reserves and surplus, and relationship with lenders, banks and financial institutions. Factors related to usage of funds. So there is factors related to capital structure, procurement of capital, controllership, and financial patterns, etc. And then there are factors related to usage of funds, capital investment, fixed asset acquisition, current assets, loans and advances, dividend distribution, and relationship with shareholders. Relationship with shareholders. These are some of the factors related to the financial capability. Apart from those ones, we have also factors related to management of funds. How are funds used? Financial accounting and budgeting systems, management control system, state of financial health, cash inflation, credit return and risk management, cost reduction and control, and tax planning and advantages. These are some of the terms involved in the financial capability. Based on the above factors, a number of strengths and weaknesses can be found that affect the financial capability of an organization. Based on above factors, a number of strengths and capabilities, strengths and weaknesses can be found that affect the financial capability of any organization. Number two, we look at marketing capability. Marketing capability. Marketing capability factors relate to the pricing, promotion and distribution of products or services, and all allied aspects that have a bearing on an organization's capacity and ability to implement its strategies. Some of the important factors which influence the marketing capability of an organization are as follows: product-related factors, variety, differentiation, mix quality, positioning, packaging, etc. Price-related factors, pricing objectives, policies, changes, protection, advantages, etc. Place-related factors related to distribution, transportation and logistics, marketing channels, marketing intermediaries, etc. And then promotion-related factors, promotional tools, sales promotion, advertising, public relations, etc. And then we have integrative and systematic factors, marketing mix, market standing, company image, marketing organization, marketing system, marketing management information systems, etc. These are some of the issues related in marketing capability. Issues related to promotion, issues related to integrative and systematic factors, issues related to place-related factors. These are all things that are involved in the marketing capability. And then we have operational capability. Operational capability factors relate to the production of product or services, use of material resources, and all allied aspects that have a bearing on an organization capacity and ability to implement its strategies. Some of the important factors which influence the operations capability of an organization are as follows: factors related to production system, capacity, location, layout, product or service design work, systems, degree of automation, extent of vertical integration, etc. Other factors that are related to operational capability include aggregate production planning, material supply, inventory cost and quality control, maintenance systems, and procedures, etc. And then we also have factors related to R&D system, personnel, facilities, product development, patent rights, level of technology used, technology collaboration, and support, etc. These are factors also related to what we call the operation capability. We also have personnel capability, and this is very important to every organization, as I mentioned earlier. Personnel capability factors relate to the existence and the use of human resources and skills, and all allied aspects that have a bearing on an organization's capacity and ability to implement its strategies. Some of the important factors which influence the personnel capability of an organization are as follows: factors related to personnel system, systems for manpower planning, selection, development, compensation, communication, and appraisal. Position of the personnel department within the organization, procedures, and standards, etc. Those are factors related to personnel system. And then we have factors related to organizational and employee characteristics, corporate image, quality of managers, staff, and workers, perception about an image of the organization as employer, availability of development opportunities for employees, working conditions, etc. And then we have factors related to industrial relations, union management relationship, collective bargaining, safety, welfare, security, employee satisfaction, and morale, etc. You see, security, welfare and security, employee satisfaction, and morale. Most of the companies have high turnout because they don't actually focus their attention on these resources. They don't take care of their staff. They don't pay them well. They frustrate them when staff involve themselves in union issues. They don't go into collective bargaining issues. They don't care about the welfare of their staff. And then staff start to leave one by one, and they end up losing this very important resource. It is a very important resource. It is a very important capability in any organization to maintain its skilled, well-experienced staff. We also have information management capability. Information management capability factors relate to the design and management of the flow of information from outside into and within an organization's capacity and ability to implement its strategies. Some of the important factors which influence information capability of an organization are as follows: factors related to acquisition and retention of information resources, quality, quantity, and timeless of information, retention, capacity, and security of information. We are going to look at this at length and see what we mean by information management capability. So we are talking about information management capability. And in modern age, as you all know, information plays a very important role in the success of any organization, especially post COVID-19 issues. You saw that most organizations are now working online from remote. People are working from home. People are working from remote areas, and information plays a very important role. So we shall talk at length a little bit about this, what we call information technology or information management capability. And factors related to processing and the synthesis of information database management, computer systems, software capability, and ability to synthesize information. Factors related to retrieval and usage of information, availability and appropriateness of information formats, and capacity to assimilate and use information. Factors related to transmission and dissemination, speed, scope, width, and depth of coverage of information, and willingness to accept information. All this is related to information technology. It is related to information capability of an organization. And then integrative, systematic, and support factors. Integrative, systematic, and supportive factors. Availability of IT infrastructure, its relevance and capability to organizational needs, upgradation of facilities, willingness to invest in state-of-the-art systems, availability of computer professionals, and top management support. Technology powers nearly every aspect of today's business, from an individual employee's work to operations to goods and services. When properly networked, technology can be optimized to improve communication, create efficiencies, and increase productivity. Information, as I've said, played a very important role in the success of any organization today. If the systems are state-of-the-art systems, if the systems are managed by professionals as it relates to human resource, then definitely the organization will have a strategic advantage over its competitors. If an IT infrastructure is flexible, reliable, and secure, it can help an enterprise meet its goals and provide a competitive edge in the market. Alternatively, if an IT infrastructure isn't properly implemented, businesses can face connectivity, productivity, and security issues like system disruptions and breaches. Overall, having a properly implemented infrastructure can be a factor in whether a business is profitable or not. Take note of that. Having a properly implemented infrastructure can be a factor in whether a business is profitable or not. How do components of IT infrastructure work? How do components of IT infrastructure work? I went a little bit deeper into this because I know this is one of the major capabilities in organizations in this age. The components of IT infrastructure are made up of independent elements, and the two core groups of components are hardware and software. Components of IT, hardware and software. Hardware uses software like operating system to work. And likewise, an operating system manages system resources and hardware. Operating systems also make connections between software applications and physical resources using network components. With an IT infrastructure, a company can provide a positive customer experience by providing uninterrupted access to its website and online store. Develop and launch solutions to market with speed. Collect data in real time to make quick decisions. Improve employee productivity. It is without question that IT infrastructure plays a very important role in the success of any organization in this age. Hardware and software make IT infrastructure. Hardware. What are these hardware and what is this software we are talking about? Hardware. Hardware are components that include desktop computers, that is hardware, servers, that is hardware, data centers, those are hardwares, hubs, routers, switches, and facilities. Those are hardware. Software components can include content management systems, customer relationship management systems, enterprise resource planning systems, operating systems, and web servers. Those are software. Differentiate between hardware and software. Hardware and software make the overall IT infrastructure. Hardware and software combine to make the IT infrastructure. Network. What are networks and what are facilities? Networks are comprised of switches, routers, hubs, and servers. Switches connect network devices on local area networks, LAN, like routers, servers, and other switches. Routers allow devices on different local area networks to communicate and move packets between networks. Hubs connect multiple networking devices to act as a single component. Hubs connect various networking devices to act as a single component. Facilities. Facilities or physical plants provide space for networking hardware, servers, and data centers. It also includes the network cabling in office buildings to connect components of an IT infrastructure together. So facilities, these are the locations. They provide space for networking hardware, servers, and data centers. They also include the network cabling in office buildings to connect components of an IT infrastructure together. Facilities. So differentiate also between what are networks and what are facilities. Then we also need to talk about a little bit about server. A core hardware component needed for an enterprise IT infrastructure is a server. Servers are essentially computers that allow multiple users to access and share resources. Server allow multiple users to access and share resources. There is a server room and data center. Organizations house multiple servers in rooms called server rooms or data centers. Data centers are the core of most networks. So when you go back to your organization, can you identify where the server rooms are located? And these are very sensitive areas as pertains to security. They are very sensitive areas as pertains to security because something happening at the server room, something happening at the data center, it is likely, not likely, but it will disrupt operations of the entire organization. Server rooms are areas that must be fitted with CCTV surveillance cameras that must be under lock and key. You must have fire extinguishers, specifically CO2 or dry powders inside these server rooms, because we have a lot of systems there working and they generate a lot of heat, and if you are not careful, then it is another very dangerous fire hazard. Server rooms. Identify where your server rooms are located in your organizations. You have to know as a security professional where are our server rooms and how are they secured. Two primary types of IT infrastructure. Two primary types of IT infrastructure. We have said IT infrastructure is made of hardware and software. We have mentioned the components of hardware and we have mentioned some systems under software. We have talked about networks, we have talked about facilities, and we have talked about servers. And then we say two primary types of IT infrastructure. We have traditional infrastructure. A traditional IT infrastructure is made up of the usual hardware and software components: facilities, data centers, servers, networking hardware, desktop computers, and enterprise application software solutions. Traditional IT infrastructure. Typically, this infrastructure setup requires more power, physical space, and money than other infrastructure types. A traditional infrastructure is typically installed on premises for company only or private use. Traditional. Cloud infrastructure. A cloud computing IT infrastructure is similar to traditional infrastructure. However, end users can access the infrastructure via the internet with the ability to use computing resources without installing on-premises through visualization. Visualization connects physical servers maintained by a server provider at any or many geographical locations. Then it divides and abstracts resources like storage to make them accessible to users almost anywhere on an internet connection, where an internet connection can be made. Because cloud infrastructure is often public, usually referred to as public infrastructure. It is usually cloud infrastructure. It is usually sometimes referred to as public infrastructure. So many people can access this infrastructure from different locations as long as they have the authority to access the systems. Then we also talk briefly about general management capability, and also this is a very important capability in the strategic advantage of any organization, and it relates to the integration, coordination, and direction of functional capabilities towards common goals and allied aspects that have a bearing on the organizational capacity and the ability to implement its strategies. We are basically talking about the aspect of management. I mentioned management earlier on in one of the presentation. I think it was presentation number 2, where we spoke about management, and we spoke about a little bit about theories of management, and we shall today again talk about a little bit about theories of motivation, because they relate to management and they are also related to strategic advantage. Some of the important factors which influence the general management capability of an organization are as follows. Factors related to general management system: strategic management system, process related to setting up strategic intent, strategic formulation and implementation machinery, strategic evaluation system management, information system, corporate planning system, rewards and incentive systems for top managers, etc. B. Factors related to general managers' orientation, risk, propensity, values, norms, personal goals, competences, capacity for work, track record, balance of functional experience, etc. And then factors related to external relationship, influence on and rapport with the government, regulatory agencies, and financial institution, public relations, sense of social responsibility. We spoke about that. Philanthropy, public image as corporate citizen, etc. And then factors related to organizational climate, organizational culture, use of power, political processes, balance of vested interests, introduction, acceptance and management change, nature of organizational structure and controls, etc. These are some of the factors that are categorized under general management capability. If the management of an organization is effective, if the management of an organization is sound, then definitely the organization or the enterprise will eventually have a strategic advantage over its competitors. Remember, strategic advantage means that the organization is generating revenue, everything is running according to set policies and procedures. The organization has an advantage over its competitors. I don't want to mention some of the companies, but you know some of the companies that are in high competition. Talk of supermarkets in Kenya, talk of mobile network providers or mobile companies, talk of organizations in the aviation industry, talk of organizations in the manufacturing industry, talk of organizations in other even fire safety issues, companies that provide fire safety systems, companies that install surveillance systems, companies that install access control management systems. All these companies are in competition, and if the management of a particular company, the general management capability is above average, then the company is likely to have a strategic advantage over its competitors. This was also another very long presentation, but I believe we have covered some of the important issues that I wanted us to cover under today's topic, which was organizational appraisal. Organizational appraisal. In the next presentation, we are going to briefly deviate and look at motivation. We are going to briefly deviate and look at motivation as a subtopic, so that then we continue with the course outline and where we are headed. I hope up to there we are together. Thank you very much for attending the class. Thank you very much for taking time to be trained with us, and I hope we are moving in the right direction, even in the other areas, even in the other courses. And I want to say thank you very much for being here today, and your presence is very important. Bye bye. I'll meet you again in the next lesson.